Hi, this is JP Morgan. This is Lars Lindstrom here for Trends from the Trenches. So we got a lot to talk about today.
I think we have to like pick and choose even.
I think we do.
To talk about.
Definitely we do.
So why don't you start us off?
All right, I've got some great, I don't know if it's great news, it just is news.
Okay.
Things going on in the photo and video world that are interesting. The National Forest Service is wanting to charge a location fee to shoot on in the National Forest, which is like huge amount of land. I mean, anything that has pine trees
Is considered a national
just
forest.
about.
When I saw this on Facebook, it was going around Facebook. There's a few of my photographer friends that were posting it, and I thought it was fake, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I thought, oh, okay, like here's another Onion article to read about. But then I clicked on it and started reading it, but the wording made me feel a little bit hopeful. It said something about photojournalism. And it has to be like a professional photojournalist. So I think it excludes any kind of a tourist with a nice 5D or a DSLR.
Yeah. Although
But
you get some park ranger who's, you get a tripod out there trying to do some, scenics, kind of fine art kind of stuff. I think you got the door wide open for a problem.
that is the problem. Is that they're trying to get specific now. So what's the boundary? I don't know.
Well, it says on September 25th, only 2 days after they announced it, that they kind of backed off a little bit.
Okay.
Saying, well, maybe we need to rethink about it. Because the outrage was like, all the advocate groups, photo group, everybody was just incensed because this is public lands, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous that you start doing these kinds of things. Everyone wants to own everything, but
it's just gonna get too sticky. It's just way too sticky. It's like, well, because I've been to so many places, and because I have a nice camera, even if I'm shooting just for fun, I'm there with my wife, and I'm just shooting a couple pictures. If I have that 70-200 lens, I am shut down.
You're in trouble.
And and I'll look around. Like we did this at Alvera Street, downtown LA.
Oh, I've shot at Alvera Street a lot.
And we had like 3 security guards approach us. And I'm looking around, and I started pointing to everyone that had a camera. I'm going, they've got a camera, they've got a camera, they've got a camera. The only reason you've decided to come to me and say you can't shoot here is because mine looks more expensive than theirs. And I'm not doing this professionally. You're
just out taking pictures.
I'm just out taking pictures. We're just having a good time. But it doesn't matter. And so there's a line. And
that was always the tripod issue.
Right.
I was at which will remain unnamed, on the East Coast that has a lot of boats, with my tripod, and everyone freaked out. You can't have that here. They kicked my dad out actually.
Yeah. I even started using my GlideCam 2000 on some of these shoots, thinking I could get away with not having a tripod. Nope. And they shut me down. So anything
That's even worse.
I know. Anything that looks like it's a professional instrument of video destruction, they're gonna shut you down.
So here's a shout out from the Slanted Lens. U.S. Forest Service, get a clue, for crying out loud.
Don't do that.
It's public lands.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think you're going to start to restrict the access so much that people can't do fine art. They can't do. I think even commercial work on a lot of levels shouldn't be restricted. But
no, especially for something so vast, so grand. You can't, and it's not hurting anybody. You're not stopping traffic. I understand if you're going to stop traffic, if you're going to have your giant trailers and big lights,
you can have a huge production.
You've got to have permits. There's safety concerns. There's traffic concerns. But if you're out there with a tripod and it's you and the entire forest, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
It should be. But, the parks have been that way.
Yeah.
You're supposed to pay a fee every time you take any picture in a national park that's going to be sold. And no one does that. But one day there'll be a case. They'll sue somebody.
Yeah.
They'll find some photographer and they'll sue them. But anyway. So my feelings I've made very clear about the Forest Service and what they should charge. But if you have feelings about this, leave it in the comments. Let us know how you feel about permits and usage and access.
I don't know if there's anybody watching that thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
For them to start charging. I'm not going to argue with you. If you think it's a good idea and you have a good point of view, I want to hear it.
Absolutely. Ranger Bob, leave your comment.
Send this video around until we find a Ranger Bob.
There's a Ranger Bob somewhere, and we want to hear from you, Ranger Bob.
Only you can explain to us why you're charging this much to shoot in your Forest Service.
All right, next item. Netflix is looking to pay 3 Instagrammers. These are Instagram all-stars.
Okay.
to travel and to do all kinds of video, not video, but stills on movie sets. They want the Instagram from the movie sets.
Interesting.
This is Netflix that's paying for this.
What's their interest in it?
I don't know. I'm looking here. How would I know?
No, but I mean, we can just talk about it. Like, what would Netflix have any interest in for something like that?
Well, it ties into exactly what they're doing. Look, that's a back end.
Just online.
It's Netflix. You're sending out your imagery through Instagram. They're on set the new movie, who's eventually going to be on Netflix. So
Yeah.
it ties it all together. Netflix. I think it's smart.
Yeah, it probably is.
But the interesting thing about this is they're choosing Instagram all-stars. So it's fascinating. So people who've created a huge following on Instagram and have created that whole market, they now have their own world. You know,
Yeah.
they are. So
Yeah, it's an interesting world. I love it. I love the world we live in.
I do too.
Just so you know.
Yeah, me too.
I'm very happy.
Would I go back to the days of film? Are you kidding me?
Oh man. Yeah.
So new gear that I think is interesting from Photokina absolutely is, and this is so obscure, I don't know how many people have even heard about this, but Panasonic has a new smartphone.
And when you say smartphone, I mean, it's just like the alarms go off, and like I don't care how good the camera is, but
In this situation, this camera is they call it a communications camera. It has a 1-inch CMOS sensor in it and a 28mm fixed focal length lens on it.
Yeah,
it's a
Leica
Leica lens. So
Yeah.
this is a major camera. It's got a 1-inch sensor.
a 1-inch, 20-megapixel
CMOS sensor.
which is kind of the real deal. So it must be a thicker
It's a
phone.
little thicker,
Yeah.
and the lens sticks out just a little bit. But
Yeah.
not so much that you wouldn't put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's still in that world of. So this whole world of we're going to rangefinder, not rangefinder. We're going to mirrorless cameras. We're really going to phone cameras. People are shooting a new iPhone. Everyone's shooting video on it. They're shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really going after it with a new iPhone. So you're just going to get your phone is going to become a great camera. I mean, pretty soon you're going to pop your phone out. You're going to go ham sandwich, ham sandwich. It'll be just like that. That phone's going to do everything.
My dad is famous in our family, maybe infamous for videotaping everything. I mean, since we were little kids, I mean, we've got so much family, which is fantastic. I mean, he's made feature documentaries. I mean, they're great. It's like every year for Christmas, he gives us a video of the previous year. It's fantastic.
Really?
But so he just bought an iPhone 6 this last week, and he called me and said, I think I'm just gonna go with the 16 gig. And I said, Dad, get the 64, and here's why. This will become your new video camera. And he goes, you're right. Okay, so we got the 64. But that's the reality, is that if you can have a really high quality for what he's doing, high quality video camera in your pocket, it's everywhere.
Cameras. What's the best camera you saw at Photokina? What was the most interesting to you?
Oh, well, to me, I mean, we probably got a couple of them in the back here. The Alexa 65s.
Okay, other than that. What's a camera that someone would actually buy?
So I think it's the FS7 from Sony. It's a video camera. It's got like an $8,000 price tag, but it shoots internal 4K, 1080p at 180 frames a second, there was kind of a huge upset about the F5. You had to record 4K to an external recorder, then somebody hacked it, then they said, well, okay, you can do internal, but it's going to cost you $1,000 for the upgrade. So it's like,
upgrade.
why don't I just hack it? But
Yeah.
anyway, so they're doing a cheaper camera than the F5 with built-in NDs, internal 4K recording, and 180 frames slow motion at 1080p.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very versatile camera, it seems, and with a base ISO of 2000. So the built-in NDs are going to be amazing. So to me, it sounds like you've got an A7S in a more video camera platform with built-in NDs, because that's like the A7S. I just bought one here last week, and they're fantastic. So my 5D Mark III. it's awesome.
What did you sell?
My 5D Mark III to not At.Jay P Morgan.
How could that be?
You didn't confirm it. You didn't say.
I was trying to trade him some equipment for his Mark III. And of course, he sells it away, goes for the cash.
Well, yeah.
Well, I just want you to know now, next time you're on set and you need a smoke machine, You don't have one, but you got your A7S III. Try to smoke that guy.
A7S III. It's just the A7S.
Oh, A7S. The 3's coming. I just know it is.
They're skipping 2 and they're going straight to 3. It's that good. But no. So, but yeah, you've got your ISO performance, which is insane. But a base ISO of 2000, you need ND filters.
Oh yeah.
And so having a more video format camera is it's going to be awesome.
Well, the built-in ND, does it have XLR inputs and all that?
Yep.
It's a video camera platform, which is really...
And a built-in EVF, which is cool. Yeah.
So we're going in a full circle, not a full circle. It's like you have two different worlds trying to go up the same path. You know, the DSLR world has an application, which we love. I absolutely love. The last piece we shot with the Mark IIIs, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But we shot it more cinematic.
We did.
We had atmosphere. We had the diffuser from Rosco in the background diffusing. Awesome. It was beautiful, beautiful stuff.
We had four 5D Mark IIIs rolling on that one.
We did.
That was fun.
And that's why it cut together so well.
It cut very well.
Yeah, never not shooting again without 2 or 3 cameras.
Or
never. 4.
Yeah.
5.
Why stop there?
Why stop there? I'm gonna get lapel cameras.
Yeah.
Okay, other cameras that came out. Leica had a 4K camera that came out. And a still camera.
Medium format.
Medium format 4K camera. Yep.
So it does up to 30 frames a second, with a medium format sensor, which is, there's a market for that, obviously, because we've got the Alexa 65, which has basically that. It's a 65 millimeter sensor.
Yeah.
It's gonna just be the most beautiful, most amazing thing ever that nobody will be able to afford ever.
Ever.
Oh man.
Maybe you can rent it on occasion.
Not even that. It's going to be such an expensive rental. Anyway, but yeah, so Leica's got that new camera. It seems pretty cool. Canon announced the 7D Mark II.
Yes, 7D Mark II, which was kind of a wah.
I mean, the only cool thing it had was 1080p at 60 frames a second, which is something we were talking about last time on the show. You know, like, why can't Canon? And they did. And
just a software deal.
It's a software deal. Even though, I mean, somebody in the comments posted that they were kind of upset that we said, even the iPhone can do, and there's a sensor difference.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely a sensor difference.
Yeah,
iPhone.
Right, but you have to point out all the cameras right now, all the DSLRs and all the video cameras that can do 1080p at 60 frames a second, and it's beautiful codec. Minus Canon. Canon's like the only ones that are holding out. They can do it. We know that you can get 60 frames a second at 1080p on these Canon cameras because people that have hacked them have been, and then it works just fine. So, yeah, no, it's a software deal. And so the new 7D Mark II, that's the newest bit of information that it has. But other than that,
what scares me about Nikon is what scares me about Canon is what's going on with like Blackmagic and those kinds of places. You get these younger, more aggressive companies who are going to go out there. I'm afraid Canon's turned into Kodak.
Really?
We're big and we're headed on this big ship and we can't really turn the direction very easily. And I just think that's where they're headed. They're not responding to the market very quickly, and it's a market that's changing so fast. They just have to get on the boat. Okay, well, I have here that we have some other things. Samsung made what was probably the biggest camera announcement of the show, unveiling the NX1, a pro-level flagship mirrorless camera that uses 28 megapixel BSI CMOS CPSC sensor that can shoot 4K video.
Okay.
If this is the biggest announcement of the show, why have I not heard about this anywhere? We're making it here on the Slanted Land.
So Samsung has this new mirrorless 4K camera, and that's about all I know about it.
And so there you have it. But we know it's a CMOS sensor, APS-C sensor, 4K video. What kind of price range? It's got to be in the same price range
as the GH4.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Nikon jumped the gun, and they showed their new camera, the D750, which is supposed to be a big deal.
So is it a full-frame camera? It's
a full-frame camera. It's supposed to go head-to-head with the Mark III. That's really kind of the announcement there, but it kind of, how it is. You got Photokina. It's on a certain date, and everyone wants to reveal something there, and I think it was a little premature for Nikon, actually. But
they need to do something.
They need to do it. So some of the things that have people up in arms with the 750 are the flip-up screen, and it only goes to 1/4000th of a second.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know why that would be the case, but anyway, if you're interested in seeing a head-to-head on the Mark III versus the new Nikon D750,
I'd be interested.
Yeah, I'd be absolutely interested.
I want a dynamic range. I'm most curious about it.
So when we did the comparison of the Mark III to the 810,
The D810.
the D810,
Yeah.
Nikon, I mean the Nikon kind of beat the Canon out in a couple ways. Like, it is a little greener, the image, but Canon's a little orange. But just the clarity, it was a little more clear, and even at high ISOs, very, very clear, very clean, very clean.
I'd love to check it out.
So, and I'm a huge Canon fan, I am. But you know that Nikon, and I said this in the comparison, if I wasn't so buried in Canon equipment, I would consider Nikon. But Canon's going to catch up, maybe, possibly,
Like Kodak did.
like maybe. Yeah, that's right. Somebody's in the wheel while going, turn the ship. Anyway, so
New GoPro's
so
coming
if you
out.
want to see that, oh yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about GoPros.
I
Yeah.
just heard about that this morning. Where have I been?
I don't know. It's all over. Of course the video they released like
I don't go on Facebook, Lars.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, it looks pretty cool. You got 4K on the 4 Black Edition coming out at 30 frames a second. I think you can do 120 frames a second at 1080p. And then the Silver Edition, you've got a touch screen on the back, so you can actually see what you're doing.
The Silver Edition, not the Black Edition.
The Silver Edition, you can't do that on Black Edition because they had to put a 4K sensor behind it.
So you're still on your iPhone for looking.
Yeah.
Although with the one I got, that works great.
And I think it's the same footprint as the previous GoPro, which is great because I've got like a quadcopter, and other people have all these different mounts, and you just be able to throw this new thing in there.
It's a quadcopter.
I did.
It's killing me.
Man,
It's got a quadcopter,
we
man.
did these. The last show we did A7S quadcopter. That's what we talked about, and I just couldn't help myself. I was so excited that I just had to buy everything.
Yeah, well, Lars is a dink, that's why.
Dink. Oh.
Double income, no kids. That's why he can afford a quadcopter.
And an A7S.
And an A7S, that's right.
No, it's fun. But anyway, $500. So it's $100 more expensive for the 4K Black Edition GoPro, which I think people will pay it. You know, you're going to have a certain market that's into that kind of thing. And I think they're also coming out with a stripped down previous version, but like kind of a new thing for $200. They haven't announced it officially yet, but you're hearing it here first.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so here are lenses that came out that were interesting. Sigma has their 150 to 600 millimeter lens. They also have details for an 18 to 300 millimeter lens that's coming out. It's good. Tamron, I'm excited about this because we shoot Tamron lenses, and they have a 15 to 30 millimeter 2.8. This is an SP lens.
Kind of completes their
It does
series.
complete their series.
So they've got the 24 to 70 and the 7200. So they're just falling right in line there.
15 to 30. It'll be a great lens, and it's a 2.8 lens. I mean, it's a great lens.
We'll have it. There's no need for image stabilization, is there? Or will it have it?
No, on a wide-angle lens like that, doesn't make any sense.
No.
I mean, they do have it on their 2470 and 7200, but for a 15 to 30, nothing can move. It's like... Okay, and Nikon announced their 20 millimeter 1.8 ED lens. That's a great, along with their SP500 speedlight flash.
Huh.
Who cares? Canon debuted 3 new lenses, 400 millimeter super telephoto
At a 4.0, right?
at a 4.0.
So that's gonna
sounds
be a
sweet.
super lens.
That sounds sweet.
Yeah.
It does. This one I don't get. It's a 24-105, 3.5, 5.6 lens. I mean, there's also already a 24-105
4.0, which with image stabilization.
Yeah, with image stabilization.
That works just fine.
Which is kind of like the introduction video lens, you know? A lot of people with their DSLR, you get the 24-105.
Unless this lens is just super cheap.
Well, it's a 3.5, 5.6. It's got to be a price point.
$300 lens or maybe cheap. I mean, unless it's in that price range, $250 to $300.
Yeah.
Then they just missed the mark.
They did. But it probably is. It probably is. It has to be.
What's that 24-105 right now?
Have you heard about this lens, Michelle? It's a 24-105, 3.5, 5.6.
What's the price tag on that? The Advantage.
All right, well, Michelle is checking on the price of that. The last thing they have on here, which is interesting from Canon, is the 24 millimeter 2.8, which is a pancake
kind of
lens.
like a pancake lens.
Yeah.
They're using these lenses for like the 70D with autofocus. They're making some of those that just work really well to autofocus in live view. So that'll be fun.
$600 for that lens.
Oh.
So $600 for the Canon 24-105 3.5.5.6.
They missed
What's the price
mark.
for the 24-105
4.0 L series?
It's L series, it's over 1,000.
I thought it was
It's
1,000.
stabilized and it has the better focusing for video.
Yeah.
The problem is, because that 24 to 105 comes in the kit, everybody sells those for dirt cheap.
You can get them on Craigslist so
You
cheap.
can get, I mean, I've bought that 24 to 105 on Craigslist brand new for $600.
$600.
You know, so that's. I don't know how well that's gonna sell.
We should have Michelle sitting up here with us. All right, that's kind of it. I do have on here a Fuji, introduce a Fujion XF50 140 2.8.
I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Okay. Who cares?
Oh man.
Okay. All right, I don't have anything else.
Okay, great.
What else do we have from Photokina? Anything?
There was that we just talked about.
You know, the one thing that I just want to I wanted to mention today is that Photoflex announced at Photokina their North Star light with a lithium battery or a P-tap.
That's exactly what they needed.
We've been telling them since they did their first light that they have to do that.
Yeah.
And so now you're going to have that single sensor, modifiable LED, which is the reason that Photoflex light is so interesting to Lars and I, and that is that you can modify it. You can put your soft boxes and everything on it so easily.
Or reflectors. I mean, it's just you just push a button and it's a new light.
Yeah, it's a Bowens mount, so it's very easy to go on and off. But the nice thing about it now is that it's going to have a lithium battery, or you can do a P-tap version, so you can put your Anton Bauer, whatever Sony or whatever your battery system is.
V-mount or
V-mount or
gold
whatever.
Mount. Yep, that's great.
So that's a great piece of news. And
how's life?
life's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything new and noteworthy in your life? Something personal you want to share?
Something personal I want to share. I have a grandson just found out, who's on his way.
Oh, fantastic.
Not until February. That's pretty exciting. My
just
youngest
had a baby.
daughter is having a baby. That makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
So that's
great
exciting.
news.
Not that anyone cares.
Well, it's probably not.
Probably not. But I care. So there you go.
Cool.
So that wraps up the news and kind of new products from Photokina.
We had so many things to talk
We had a lot
about.
to talk about today, so it was fun.
I'm curious, if we missed anything, post in the comments. If you want to hear about anything, if you've heard something and you don't really know too much about it, we'll do some research. Maybe we'll get one from Samy's here and we'll do a comparison, throw some video up. I'd love to. So
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to see. We'll go after it. So going on to our next segment, what does Ken want to talk about?
What does Ken want to talk about?
We don't really care. So here we are, back again. The next segment is, what does Ken want to talk about? We normally don't care what Ken wants to talk about. Our resident curler here at Samy's. Who curls anyway?
I have to admit, I'm a little bit excited.
We're going to go out and see
I did
Ken
want-
curl just so we can say that we've done it.
You would be surprised at how many people have come out and tried it in the LA area.
I'm going to be shocked.
Yep.
What's the average age, Ken? What's the median age that's there?
It's actually anywhere from, probably 30s, median age. I mean, we have a couple of people in our
1830s?
we have a couple in the club that are skewing our numbers, but that's okay. They're
Okay.
Trust me.
Well, let's talk about what Ken wants to talk about. Lars is pretty excited about what Ken wants to talk about. So, Ken, what do you want to talk about here?
Well, I brought out the Pentax Z camera, which is a 645, meaning it's medium format. It's a 52 megapixel camera.
52 megapixel camera?
52.
format.
Still camera.
And it's a stills camera, but this one actually does do video recording also.
What kind of features in video does it have?
What?
You want to talk about this, Ken?
Well, I was bringing it out because this is a CMOS sensor. Sony came out with a CMOS sensor, and Hasselblad and Phase One, which are other medium format camera companies, have also introduced a medium format sensor. So this is kind of like I'd say the entry level into a medium format system at a price point of $8,500. So it's very inexpensive to get into a medium format camera because everybody is trying to find the look of a medium format, but they can't do it in a 35 because it's just not possible. So here, we're able to do medium format system. We're able to get a better quality image. You have better quality lenses too than what you're going to find typically in 35. And you're going to get that essence in the image that you're just never going to find in a 35 system. One of the biggest things is a 14-bit capture.
Just because of the
sensor size?
Sensor size.
It's the sensor size itself.
Depth of field has got to be really shallow, which is cool
It is.
for doing video.
It is, and that would be a big help for video because of the sensor size itself. That's why everybody keeps going to Hasselblad and Phase, like, when are you coming out with video? And they're just, I think, either resisting it or it's just not possible with the way their cameras are set up at this point.
So when you go to video format, when you go to your 1080p format, this is going to cut that sensor into what size, basically? I mean, the Mark III has what, 1 inch, or not a 1 inch?
Well, it's 1.5 inches.
Inch and a half. So you got 1.5 inches on the Mark III. So this is going to go to 2.25, or
Most likely. It's
It's
still
brand new,
new.
it's just out of the box,
brand
isn't
new.
it?
I actually, yes. I'm going to get in
Literally.
trouble for this one, but I did open this one up this morning to show them. So
And
don't
it's
tell
awesome.
Michelle.
I'm not telling her.
It's awesome. So So the Leica just announced a new medium format camera that's going to be able to do 4K internal video recording, but it's $25,000.
Correct.
So this one is $8,500 for the body.
Yep.
Okay, so it doesn't do 4K. It does 1080p.
1080.
But you're gonna get a very unique look, very unlike anything you've seen in your DSLR video. I mean, the Alexa 65 just came out for the video world, which is basically a medium format sensor with a 2:1 native aspect ratio. The Leica, this is kind of, if you're looking for something new, this is the world.
The other thing is, remember, if I remembered right too, it does a HDMI out, so you can do a full HDMI out, which would allow you to record into like one of the Atomos products. So you could get actually a cleaner picture with 422
yeah.
Pro. Well, it would be a wrapped 422 ProRes file then. So there's some good advantages to getting into something like this, obviously, because of the sensor size itself. But for still images, because a lot of people are still trying to do stills, you've got a phenomenal camera.
Yeah.
One drawback though.
It's interesting. Well,
Sync speed is 1/25th of a second.
1/25th.
Yes. So these are not leaf shutter lenses. They're only focal plane shutter lenses, which actually is keeping the cost down on the lenses too. But you're not able to sync anything faster than that 1/25th.
Do you know what this looks like? It looks like a CM and a 35 millimeter married. I mean, it looks
Okay.
like the old Hasselblad square CM.
Sure.
And then you got the handle of a 35 millimeter on the side.
If
It's
you
just
remember the
interesting.
very original 645 Pentax,
It's like, that's it.
there's
Is
your
that
same
it?
thing.
See,
That's
I
it.
didn't shoot. I always shot Hasselblad, so I didn't ever
No,
really
645. I mean, how old is the 645 now?
Oh,
It's 30,
forever.
30 years old.
Something
Have,
more than that.
more than that. Way more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it shows you how much I know about photography.
Way before you were born.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the 645. That's the same body.
So it is
Yeah.
impressive, and I
It's
love this.
also-
I don't know
oh,
why
one
everyone
other
isn't
thing.
doing this. The pop-out screen thing.
Well,
I
that's your
wish-
waist level finder.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working down here, I mean, I wish it swiveled.
One other thing too is it is a
Doesn't
weather
swivel,
sealed camera.
Weather
It
seal.
is a weather
So
sealed
it is
camera.
completely weather sealed. So if there is a light rain or a drizzle, etc., you don't have to worry about it at all.
It feels good in your hand. I could shoot with
It's
that.
heavy. I mean, it's a big,
is heavy, but-
heavy camera.
But
I
it's a
think
medium
for
format
video,
camera.
you're going to have to figure out some different ways of adapting this. But I mean, no, it's I would love to shoot some video on one of
It
these.
would be incredible to see.
Just to see, just compare it to 5D Mark III and just see, here's your full frame sensor.
that would be a great comparison.
Here's maybe a C100, here's a Super 35 sensor, and here's a medium format sensor, all at 1080, and just see if we can balance the colors as much as we can. So once you guys get your demo model, we'd love to,
Oh, sure.
to
No
use
problem
it.
with that.
What's the other one you said that just came out that we should put in that same? Wasn't the other medium format the Fuji?
Leica.
Or Leica. Yeah, the
Leica.
Leica. Yeah.
I don't know how long it's going to be before we can get our hands on one of those.
That'll be a while.
Yeah, and that one does 4K.
Will you guys
internal.
carry that eventually? The Leica?
Absolutely. We're a full Leica dealer, so it's
Great.
just a matter of time.
Great, absolutely.
That would be incredible to compare.
Love to
How
compare.
are lenses, Pentax lenses, how do they compare like to Hasselblad lenses or?
They're really actually top notch. Again, you're not talking. You're talking focal plane shutters instead of leaf shutters. And for people that maybe not know, leaf shutters, the shutter is actually built into the lens itself, so it can sync at any speed at that point. So for flash photography, if you're doing outdoors, which would lead me into the next thing that I wanted to say about.
Ken wants to talk about the Sunny 16 rule. What does Ken want to talk about?
Okay. You're killing me here. Do you know what the Sunny 16 rule is?
I don't know what the Sunny 16 rule, so I'm excited to hear about it.
Okay. Sunny 16 rule states if you're outdoors and you set the camera to f16,
16.
whatever your ISO ASA is, you equate that to the same as your shutter speed and you'll get a perfect exposure. It is the most
F16,
handy thing
200
to have.
ISO, 200 shutter.
If you don't have a working meter, if you don't have anything else out there, you set that camera to that settings, you'll get a perfect exposure.
Fascinating.
How does that relate to the moon?
Wasn't the moon F8?
So like a standard
should
F8?
Well, it should be. It should be
you
the
shoot the
same.
moon?
It should be the same.
It's pretty much the same because the sun is shining
It's
directly,
on the
moon.
moon.
Yeah.
That's why when people try to shoot stars on the moon, it never works because the moon's in direct sunlight and the stars are a million miles away.
Small little problem.
If you think you know more about that than we do, which wouldn't be hard, give us a shout out about the moon.
Should be the same. I just can't imagine shooting an F6.
But I have heard
yeah.
F8. When you say that, I have heard that.
You've got reflections coming off. So you're not getting full intensity sunlight, you're actually getting a
You're
reflection
right.
of light. So, but one of the biggest things though is, and this is why I bring this up, a customer of mine, a good client, actually said he was having a real problem shooting at the beach with his flash on his camera. And I'm gonna remain nameless on cameras. But I basically said to him, yeah, you've got so much light coming into the camera. And I said, let me guess, you're shooting at 100 ISO ASA on your camera and you're shooting F16 outside and you had your flash set and it was kicking you at 250th of a second. He's like, yeah. I said, yeah. There's no way you're gonna overpower that thing.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to keep sometimes those rules in your head to help you get these better images. And that's one of the other reasons why, okay, outdoors in bright sunlight, with flash, this is gonna be a little bit of an issue.
That's hard. Whereas the Hasselblad, you got that all leaf shutter.
All leaf shutter lenses.
I love the Hasselblad.
Absolutely. So there's some major advantage still to go into the Hasselblad series and to the Phase series instead of the entry level with the Pentax series. But again, you have the options.
So do they have any fast lenses? for medium
Most of
format?
the prime lenses are going to be faster. They're typically at 2.8 though.
Yeah.
That's as fast as they usually come.
So what's our
Because
ISO
That's
sensitivity?
about
on
as
some of
fast as
these
you need.
cameras?
On
this
that,
one-
setup,
For
2.8.
depth of field, sure.
I
Yeah.
think
But-
this one
but
went up
for
to
light-
2200.
Okay. Okay.
You know, or
So
22,000.
so light
Say it again.
intake.
I think this one went up to 2200
The ISO.
for ISO.
How is the ISO though? I mean, how,
Well, a CMOS sensor, it's got less noise involved, so you can actually effectively shoot at the higher ISO ASAs. Hence why both Phase and Hasselblad came out with a CMOS chip sensor. Most of the Canon series or most of the Nikon and even the Sonys are CMOS based sensors, so they actually have very good low noise capability at the higher ISO. Now that does come at a sacrifice of color. So a lot of times we lose a little bit of that color when we're actually dealing with it, but
Your
sometimes
dynamic
that's
range shifts as well.
negligible
Yeah,
too.
There's a lot that
Yeah.
happens, yeah.
all right, we're really excited to be able to see what Ken wanted to talk about this week. But the excitement's worn off now, so we're moving on.
Making this real fun
We're
for
gonna
kids.
call this segment "What's in JP's Ugly Canvas Bag."
I love this segment. It's my favorite new segment.
Every week there's a new segment.
I know. We're just winging this.
We are just winging this. But I have this. They sent me this forever ago, and I have not had a chance to talk about it.
Okay.
This is from the people over at CSLR, Custom Straps. They make great straps. Love the strap. It's an air strap. And I've used it on my camera already, and that's why it's already looking like this.
Okay.
But no, it's a great strap. These are great straps. I've used a lot of different straps. These are really good on your shoulder. I love them. They have a hand strap that goes on your camera.
Ooh.
So shout out to CSLR. Great piece of equipment. Love it.
This is cool. I like this idea.
It's a great deal.
So for
Get
any
that
kind of a
camera strap.
DSLR, just a strap right there, so you can just kind of grip it and feel secure, kind of let it.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. Great thing.
Well, this isn't open, so.
Go ahead. It's all yours. So here is from Strobe's. Okay, it's actually from Interfit. Interfit's the company. It's a TTL flash. It has a lot of the very same features you get on your Canon or Nikon high-end flash. It's like about $250. It's a lithium battery. Love that kind of technology because it's a quick charge lithium battery. Disadvantage for me on something like this, I just have to say, is I'm going to want to put double A's in here just as a backup. So I'd want some kind of a carriage that'll allow me to, to throw the double A's in there.
So
But
it's just a single lithium battery.
single lithium battery, but you'd want to at least have a backup of this. But it does all the function a TTL flash will do. Your high-end flash, it's it really high-speed sync. everything about it is incredible.
I love the idea of a rechargeable battery in there, though, man.
It is a great thing, but I would definitely get a second one.
You have to.
You have to, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe even a third one, depending on how much you're using it, you know. But,
Yeah.
But a great piece of equipment, solid built. I thought this was pretty impressive.
Interfit.
Yep,
Have you used
Interfit.
it yet? Or is it, they
Yeah,
sent it to
I
you?
just shot just a few shots on my camera, just get a sense of how it worked, and it was really very nice.
Great. Yeah,
So,
it's awesome.
I think the nice things about it is that it just gives you, like I say, you got that lithium battery. It's a quick charge lithium battery. It does all the same things. Does all the same things your high-end strobe does. So Lars is still in the strap, I can tell.
Still in
People over at
everything.
Tiffin sent these Domke bags over.
Ooh.
This is coming out of my bag here.
Optical illusion. Domke?
Domke. I had a Domke bag when I was in art school.
Okay.
I mean, all my camera stuff. It was like a photojournalism bag in that time period, but they were great bags. These have a canvas, kind of waterproof, and actually they have a stuff you put on this to keep it so it's waterproof. They're just excellent bags. There's a little stuff to keep it waterproof. Domke bag.
Oh, nice.
Rugged wear. They just sent these. I haven't had a chance to use them. I like the padding in them. I like the setup. I mean, they're
Yeah.
great little bags.
Yeah.
People over at Tiffin make great stuff, actually.
Great. You know what? I'm just going to start packing this one.
So these are new bags from Domke. No one has seen these before. Even Michelle here at Sammy's has not seen this bag. Well, maybe not this bag, but a bag like this. You know, great storage space, great shoulder strap. Love it. Tiffin?
Sold.
Sold. All right, let's see what else I've got in my little bag here. These come from Rosco. Rosco has a whole series of these gel packs. Filter kits for speed lights, and I'm holding this very still so the cake can get a close-up. Filter kits for speed lights, and these packs come in different things. Like this is one that's put together for kind of flesh tones.
Diffusion. Ooh.
Diffusion and flesh tones.
Yeah.
So it gives you a lot of different colors that are going to soften the skin. You can just put these on your speed light, and they're set up for that. They're actually great little kits.
That's great.
This was done by the guy who does the strobist, put this together for Rosco. So it has just all the different things that he likes, and it has your basics on there, your CTO and your CTB, and then it's got some of his favorite as well in there.
There's a lot. There's a lot in these
A
things.
lot of these things. But these all go on your speed lights. So you can use it with this little guy right here, your Pro Flash, the TLIC.
GLIC.
Yeah. But anyway, these are great little filter kits. So if Sammy's isn't selling these, they should be.
All right. Was that
That's
everything
all
in the bag?
JP has in his bag. Okay, for this next segment here on the Slanted Lens for Trends from the Trenches, we're going to look at TTL flashes. The reason we're going to look at TTL flashes is because most photographers who get started in the industry start with one of these babies right here. And we're going to talk about what the advantages and disadvantages of the different price points are and kind of what it means to you or to us or to whatever. We've got Jeff here from Sammy's who really knows his stuff. I mean, I get lost in this world a little bit. I use TTL flashes. I like TTL flashes to a point. It's not my favorite platform, and there's a couple reasons it isn't my favorite. One is I think it's a high price point for the amount of power you get, but there's a portability factor there that's incredible. It also has high-speed sync, which is incredible. So the ones that don't high-speed sync here, I don't think are worth the money, regardless of the price point. I think you got to have high-speed sync with them, or it really doesn't do what it needs to do. Anyway, but I love these things. I have two of the Canon high-end TTL flashes. I have the old one that was like, I bought it probably 15 years ago. It may be that long actually. But we dropped it in the pool. We had it in a lantern. In the lantern as our light on the lady's face in the pool, and the screw on the lantern dropped and went right into the pool. And so in the pool it went. I just stuck it into a box of rice for about a week. I dumped it out, shook everything out of it, put in the batteries, and it was good to go. It doesn't turn off now, though. The one function that doesn't work is it doesn't turn off.
Get a battery door to open up.
Yes,
let
I
it out.
opened the battery door
That
and I
works.
popped the batteries out. Anyway, so Jeff, tell us what we've got here, from high end to low.
Well, basically high end, you got your Canon, you got your Nikons, which everybody knows Canon and Nikon. They all will do, everything we're talking about here will do high speed sync. Everything does work TTL. They're all in the $549 range, same price point on both of them. They run rebates on and off.
Now is this Canon?
You've got Canon and Nikon both.
Canon, Nikon
So you got
there.
the 600 RT, which is a radio trigger. you have the Nikon 600 or 900, 910, excuse me, which is also a 4-channel radio trigger setup. So both flashes will work off camera. They'll work with a trigger that's built into most of the Nikon cameras if you have a built-in flash. If you don't, then you use the SU800, which is a top-mounted piece that goes on the camera, and it'll fire up to 3 flashes whether you have Canon or Nikon. So you're able to trigger 3 different
So you
flashes.
put this on the camera.
Well, you'd put the Nikon or the Canon version of it
Yeah, okay, yeah, which goes on the...
on top of the camera, so you don't have to have a light coming from the camera. That'll trigger up to 3 Nikons or 3 Canon flashes individually.
So you run
Separate
something
power.
like this on your
Exactly.
camera. You can put these things off where... Can you change the power
You
on
sure
these?
can.
Yeah,
You can
which
do
is the nice thing
ratios,
about
power,
this.
everything off them. Yeah, you
Ratio,
sure can.
that's the nice thing. If you get this on the camera, you can now control the flashes. You can say the hair light's too hot. I'm going to take that down a little bit.
got it.
I need the hair light back up. That's great technology.
Working in
So
by
who's
yourself.
this guy in the end?
Photix, Mitros, what they're doing is they have come into this business with a pretty high-end flash. $399 price point, offers high-speed sync, offers off-camera flash. It will work with their accessories as far as Photix goes, but what's nice about this is it's a lot like the Canon and Nikon. You have a radio trigger built in here, which will also fire up to 3 Mitros flashes. But if you buy the Nikon Mitros, you can fire Nikon flashes off of their system. If you buy the Canon, you can trigger a couple Canons off theirs. So it's kind of like there's a system now that you can buy of somebody else's where you don't necessarily have to buy the manufacturer.
Just at the lower price point.
Lower price
price
point,
point, that's-
and offering everything that they do too. And build quality is good. Been playing with it the last couple of days. It offers just about everything the other two do. And I mean, you even have, water sealant like the other 2 flashes do to keep the water out of the sink. It's built very well. Comes with some good accessories.
Is that what that thing is?
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Keep it a little tighter. It's not going to help you when it drops in the pool, Jake.
When it goes in the pool, it's not going to help.
They have a couple other things you can set up with theirs, like you're talking about with the Nikon and the Canon. They have their own off-camera radio trigger that you can put on to any camera, whether it's a Nikon, Canon, and Sony. And you can trigger their flashes, but you can also run full TTL off of these things by using their receivers.
I want to make sure, and I'm sure this audience, especially this audience, understands what TTL means. It's through the lens metering, which means you're taking your light meter, your meter reading is going to come in the camera. It's going to say, I have enough exposure, and then they shut the strobe down, basically. Just so you understand, that's what TTL means anyway.
Makes
Did I
a point and
explain
shoot.
that right?
Yeah, sure did. Makes a point and shoot. Makes it easy. One thing that's neat on these guys is they are planning some other upgrades, which we haven't heard a lot about. Some of them are going to be some continuous shooting, maybe adding extra channels to it. It's USB compatible, so anything that they do have as far as a firmware upgrade comes with it.
Plug in.
Fantastic.
That's really
Yeah,
nice.
and that's the first one I've seen like that in a long time.
That's excellent.
Pretty neat
so
features on it.
you haven't seen this one. This is the Strobies. This is the one that's done by Interfit. ProFlash TLIC. I'm actually pretty impressed with this. I think it does. I don't think it has this kind of system, but I don't know that. But it's a lithium battery, so it has the built-in lithium battery, which is really nice.
Huh.
It does everything else you're talking about here. It will do with regards to rear curtain sync. It'll
Right.
do high-speed sync. What else do you say this does?
Other than off-camera, high-speed sync, full TTL, strobo setting, which is nice for sports, but I'm sure that'll probably have
Definitely
it also.
does
It's kind of a
that, yeah.
standard setting on
Yeah.
there.
So and this is like a $250 price point. Where's this?
$399,
$399?
but they do make a $299 version, same flash without the radio triggering in the flash.
Oh, this is part of it.
Yeah.
It comes with that $399.
No, this is separate altogether. $279 here, $399.
But it
But
will
you
talk
can
to
buy
each other,
a
$399.
non-radio trigger version of this for $299 and use these to activate it also.
Perfect. Okay, that's
Great.
interesting. Okay. Well, down here we get to the very bottom of the barrel. This little baby, how do you say that?
Young.
Nice.
Speedlight. Speedlight NY563. I forgot my glasses, man. This is $70. It does a lot of great things. It doesn't do everything that these do here by any means, but it's $70. If I had to drive a flash, drop it off a building, and take one shot, this is what I'd use. The nice thing about what we're looking at here is you're going to get very consistent color, and you're going to have a great color. This is going to be a little inconsistent with color. How much you perceive that is kind of a bit of a conversation. But if you can't afford anything, then this is a great place to start. But here's my feeling about stuff like this. It works. It'll do the job you want it to do for a certain length of time. But it's $70. I'd rather take my $70 and invest it into something that I know is going to last forever. Like I say, the first Canon I've got, I dropped it in the pool, and I still have it. It still works. So it's just a matter of, I know economically you think that makes sense, but I think a lot of times it makes more sense to step up into something like this that's going to have a little more longevity for you. And these aren't going to last forever. They just aren't. I mean, anyway, what else can we say about TTL that's interesting or?
Well, I think it's gotten a lot of people to use flash that have always been afraid to use flash. That blowout feeling, shoot the flash, blow it out. You can put these flashes on top of a camera, hand it to somebody, shoot 3 feet away, shoot 30 feet away, fill in people with a baseball hat on or something like that. It's amazing. It's amazing how well they work, how well they balance themselves outdoors. And it just kind of changed flash altogether. It's also brought out a lot of accessories for them too. A lot of soft boxes and a lot of things. You got a lot of people that are using them as studio flashes. So.
Well, that's it. I mean, for a pretty reasonable price point, you can get 2 or 3 of these, and you can put a softbox on it. You can use a hair light. You can, because of the systems they've got now, it really becomes a closed system. You can run the whole thing. It just makes it very easy to ratio and to work together. It's not a bad place to start. It really isn't. If you're just getting into the photo industry, here's my new commitment. I am going to shoot the next TSL lesson I shoot. Probably won't come out until Christmas. All with TTL flashes. I know it's going to be a big set product here. We're going to see how many we can do with this. Should I make that commitment?
Yeah, that's a good one.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay. All right, we're going to do it. All right. I don't mind them. I like them. The things about them that I love are small, compact, hide them, use them. I like the fact that you can modify them very easily as a hair light and things. I like all those kinds of things with them. I just think the price point's a little high sometimes for the watt seconds, and I think that they're slow to recycle. That drives me crazy a little bit because we're just shooting.
Yeah.
And how about battery life? All AAAs?
All AA's, all regular double. No, regular
except
AA's.
for this guy, which
Correct.
is
all have all the pro flashes do have high voltage ports, so you can run an accessory battery, Quantum, or Nikon and Canon both have their own AA accessory battery packs you can add to. So you get about
quicker to recycle?
about a second and a half.
Yeah,
Second half
second and
TTL.
a half.
Yeah.
Well, that's not terrible, but no, that's good. All right, I won't say that. That's good. Second and a half. All right, I love this world because the next Trends from the Trenches, we're going to talk about making our first buck in photography, and it'll kind of be this platform will help us kind of move forward. So, all right, Jeff. Anything else we should say?
No.
Wasn't Jeff great?
Not
Jeff
a whole
didn't
lot.
want to do this, but he did a great job, didn't he? If you think Jeff did a great job, shout it out in the comments, will you?
Yeah.
Michelle, write something in the comments, will you? Here we are, Trends from the Trenches. Just a little taste here of Doug Chamberlain, who's going to be our DP of the month. And we're going to ask him one simple question, and then he's going to give his perspective on making the transition from stills to video. So my question for you is, what's a great book that you go to in this process to kind of help give you some education and direction?
It's a good question, but let me start with the second question of making that transition, because maybe this will inform the book. Making that transition from stills to video, they are like 2 different worlds. And oftentimes I've even found like commercial still photographers, they're actually closer to directors than they are to DPs. Yeah. Even though they have a lot of the same skill sets, but they're very close to directors, because what's important is how do we tell stories? And in stills, you're telling that story with one single image. With motion picture, you're now starting to tell stories with multiple images lined up together. And when you get into that, you need to understand what are those visual tools and how do they work together, and how do you define something. You define a color by its opposite color. You define a deep space by showing a flat space. And it's very simple, basic tools. And there's this great book that was introduced to me when I was at AFI called The Visual Story by Bruce Block. And to read it, it looks like a remedial book on story elements, but it's so simple, and it lays out so nicely how we kind of operate in the motion picture world that I don't think is ever talked about in still world, because you don't line up images the way you do in motion.
Excellent. So that wraps up Trends for the Trenches for the month of October. So we've got a lot of stuff to go through, a lot of exciting things to look at. But the secret word of the month is...
So it's Doug. Doug, what's the secret word?
Covered wagons.
Covered wagons.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that. But you won't understand that completely unless you go to the full interview, the full DP interview. But if you do, you'll understand covered wagons.
Thanks for watching.